Hello, everybody. As I record this, it is December 21st, the shortest day of the year. It is cold outside, so I have this festive tropical shirt on so that I can be somewhere warm up here. I'm Dennis Lee, your guide to having a home you love, realtor serving the Columbus, Ohio area. And the housing numbers for November 2023 are fresh out of the oven. So we'll talk about those results and we'll go over what the market is like for folks who are buying and who are selling right now. This is the internet, and I understand our short attention spans. So I'm going to give you the big picture right up front so that you can tune out after if you must miss all this great content. Right now, we're in the slowest time of the year for real estate activity. Every year it goes up in the spring and summer. But looking here, every year housing prices, the average price goes up in the middle of the year. That's because the market heats up in the spring and summer. That's when people tend to think about moving because the school year's ending and they see that they can move during the summer. People tend not to like to move when the weather's cold. So if you look at what's happening this year, we peaked in, May, June, and it's been steadily declining since. And we are going to finish the year higher than we started on an average sales price. And that's the trend year over year. It's pretty predictable. So I expect the market to heat up in the spring as it tends to do. Interest rates have been declining consistently for the last 6 to 8 weeks. If you're buying these next 2 months from now, to kind of mid-March, might be the best market you'll see for a while. If you're selling, the Columbus area remains a hot seller's market as it has been for years. Cream puff houses that are in great shape, move-in ready, in highly sought-after locations at a reasonable price are still usually going, getting those multiple offers and they're selling the first weekend that they're on the market. All right, so let's look at the housing statistics for the entire Columbus area MLS. All right, so we're looking here at the entire MLS. This is Franklin, Delaware, Fayette, Licking, Madison, all the counties in central Ohio, and then parts of Athens, Champaign, Clark, Clinton, Fairfield, Hocking, Knox, Logan, Marion, Muskingum. So broad area that we're looking at, big old halo around central Ohio, Columbus, and then parts of southern Ohio. All right, so your specific town might be a little bit different, but the number that jumps out to me here is the percent of original list price received is at 97.5%. That means that if a house is listed at 400,000 on average in November, it went for 390,000 by the time it went into contract and closed on the sale. So this is a little bit down. In previous months, it was about 98.5, 99%. And while that 1% might seem insignificant, it's indicative of a bigger trend that right now is a time when buyers have more leverage than they did earlier this year and certainly 2-3 years ago while the market was hotter. So, kind of looking at just this moment right now, late December, January, February, and then early parts of March when it's still really cold. If we look at those past trends and we apply them to now and look at what interest rates might do when they're expected to go down, this might be one of those times where people look back and say, like, man, I wish I would have bought then. They might be envious of the people who buy right now. I have a lot of buyers envy over my friends who bought, in Clintonville or Marysville or something in 2017, and now their house is, worth 100% of what they paid for it. So this is kind of one of those times where I think it's really a good time for a buyer to step into the market if they're ready to buy, their situation allows for it, and the monthly payment makes sense. A couple other things that stood out. The median sales price is up from last year. That's expected. That just happens year over year. And looking at month supply of inventory, this indicates whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. So let's talk about sellers for a moment. Is now a good time to sell your house? We're still in a very, very strong seller's market. This number is kind of silly, percent change, because it went from 1.3 to 1.6. That means that, there's 1.6 months supply of inventory on the market. A buyer's market is marked by 6 months of inventory. 1.6 is way less than 6. So it's still a really hot seller's market. So if you have that cream puff house and it's priced right, you can still sell your house, reasonably quickly. Um, I've seen a lot of houses selling, same day, same weekend because, they had the place nice and clean. The inspection came back pretty good. And it showed well, and the number was right. The list price is always the most important factor determining how fast you're going to sell a home. All right, now I'm going to touch real quick on the economy because I have so many conversations with people who hesitate to buy or sell because they say, "Well, I just want to watch the economy." And I get that. You don't want to, get stuck in a bad situation, but the truth is the economy never stops and you can watch it for forever. There are always people to tell you that it's all about to hit the fan and others who skew the numbers to show that everything is hunky dory. So let's take a moment to get away from what the news or your Uncle Daryl might have to say about the economy, and let's look at the hard numbers. All right, let's take a look at some broad factor numbers here. So first, we're looking here at rate of inflation. That's been, the big buzzword for a while now. It's where people have felt it at home. We've felt it at home. Groceries are more expensive, gas costs more. So let's look at what that rate of inflation has been doing. This is where we are today. All right. Let's look at this trend over time. So it started climbing, obviously, because of COVID, and it went way, way up and it peaked June of 2022. The Fed realized they had to step in and do something. That something they did was raise interest rates to cool down the economy because, more spending increases the rate of inflation. So we're not, I'm not saying we're out of the woods or that everything is perfect, but look at this trend. It's just gone down and down and down and down with those rate hikes. I don't want to call it an evil, but somewhat of a necessary tool that's been there to help ease the inflation has been these heightened interest rates. Now that it's softening, we'll look at this later, but the Fed doesn't expect more rate hikes. They actually are indicating a couple of cuts in 2024 that should make housing at least on the interest portion of your mortgage more reasonable. Looking at the next indicator, the gross domestic product. And these sources, by the way, these are really good sources. This is from the Fed. This is from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. So this is today. We are at an all-time high for GDP. Now, of course, that trend goes all the way up from 1940 to now, but we're looking at a growing economy overall. The unemployment rate, another very significant indicator of how things are going. Do people have jobs? Do they have access to getting a job? We are at a historic low, and we have been for a few years. Even with everything else that's been going on with the economy, jobs have been there. So, this is just the hard data. It was going down, down, down in that Bush administration. And then we had the housing bubble, boop, went way up 10%. It's a bad situation. Sure, if you're my age or older, you remember it. Went down, 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 down. Pandemic shot way up momentarily. And then it came way down really fast. And it's been at historically low numbers since, really all-time lows. All right. Last big picture we'll look at, stock market, Dow Jones Industrial Average. So this chart takes us back to 2022. And you can get online and look at bigger ones. I'll even make it bigger. Let's go to a 10-year. So this is the last 10 years, and it's going to show, our previous all-time high, 2021 at 36,000. 2 days ago, we hit an all-time high at 37,211. And for all I know, we'll be at a new all-time high by the time I'm done making this video. So people who say, oh, I'm getting killed in the markets right now. I mean, yeah, there's been some volatility here and there, I suppose, but I mean, overall, the numbers don't lie. The Dow Jones is way up. So those are the broad scale economic indicators of the broad economy. So the reason I'm showing you this is I hear so many people waiting to watch the economy. Don't make those decisions based on what you hear from people, your emotions, your feelings about the economy so much as logic. Try to get into the hard data to make that decision about whether we're in a healthy economy or not a healthy economy. That way you make a smart investment. So that's my advice. Right now, the broad scale indicators of the economy look very strong. So the big question is what will happen with interest rates in the future in 2024? No one can predict the future, but the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors forecasts that the 30-year fixed rate average might fall to 6.3% in 2024. The Federal Reserve has indicated that they are likely at the end of the rate hiking cycle with forecasts of declining inflation, interest rate cuts, and only a slight uptick in unemployment. So let's assume interest rates do drop back into the low 6% as expected. Let's say you're thinking about buying in the next 2 months or later when the market heats up and interest rates might be lower. If you buy in January or February of 2024, buyers will likely have more leverage than we predict they will have in the spring and summer. When the market heats up, there's greater competition for houses. List prices go up. The winning offer is often over the asking price, and buyers give up important contingencies like home inspections and remedies. Last thing we'll talk about is different communities around Central Ohio. What's the average price to purchase a home there, at least according to November 2023? So think of, sorry, like those 3 communities that you think might be the most expensive place to buy a house in, and kind of list them 1, 2, 3 in your mind right now. Make a little game for yourself. No prizes. I'll give you like 3 seconds. All right, let's pull this up and I'll show you the data. All right, we're looking here at this column. New Albany. If you guess New Albany, you are correct. The average sales price in New Albany in November, 1,158,600. Ooh. Second, Bexley. It's weird because it's 683,000, yet that seems like a huge drop off. Like all of a sudden 683 doesn't seem that expensive. And then Granville, 660. Granville has been shooting way up, obviously, because it's a finite community. There's not big, broad subdivisions around it yet. And it's near where all this activity is going with Intel and all the other tech hubs around there. And it's just a gorgeous little town. If you haven't been to Granville, go spend an afternoon there. It's a great little place. And then comes in Dublin, Grandview Heights. You're looking at just under 600,000. The Olentangy School District in Powell, you're looking, 570 to 580 to be there. Upper Arlington, sometimes this number is a lot higher. This one fluctuates a lot. Upper Arlington in November, the average sales price was 540. I've seen that in the upper 800s before. But this list just kind of gives you a good idea of what costs what and where. So if you're looking in these more affordable locations, I can show you Columbus Corporation and Columbus City School District. That's a big area, and it depends on what part of town you're in. There's certain areas of Columbus where you're not going to get a house for less than, 700,000. Then there's other locations where you can pick a place up really inexpensively. And then we're looking down here, Marion City is new to our MLS. It's, a little bit of a hike outside of Columbus at 200,000, but look at this. That number's up 30%. That speaks to how much the Central Ohio market just keeps going up and up and up. So we just have more and more people moving in. Real estate is limited, it's supply and demand. As more people come in, the demand goes up. And housing just isn't being built fast enough to keep up with the rate of people here. So, it's reasonable to deduce that that number is going to keep climbing until the rate of housing catches up. All right. That's all I have for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have the best holiday and tune in next month. All right, bye.